Welcome to this Mosaic Crochet Stitch tutorial. With this video I'm going to teach you how to do mosaic crochet, and also I'm going to show it with one of my favorite stitch patterns. To work this specific stitch pattern you're going to need to chain a multiple of 5 and then add 3 extra stitches. Mosaic crochet is a lovely color work technique where you're only using one color on each row. For the first row, it's just a setup row. I suggest that you work the single crochet stitches into the back bump of the chains you made, starting with one in the third chain from the hook. Then you're going to continue to work single crochet stitches into all the chains until you finish row 1. This is just a setup row and it's just to get the stitch pattern started. Notice how both sides of the work looks good when you're working into that back bump. Now it's time to cut the yarn and fasten off, because as I said, we're going to work only on the right side of the work for this mosaic crochet technique. I pull tightly as I fasten off. And we're getting ready to start the second row, which we're going to work in the second color and work a single crochet into that first stitch. And this is what we're going to repeat on every single row: a single crochet into the first stitch and a single crochet into the last stitch. This is not part of the stitch pattern, but it's a way to create a nice edge on both sides. So we're starting with a slip knot and a single crochet into the first stitch. This second row is also a setup row, so we're going to work single crochet into the back loop on all the stitches between the first and the last one. So we're not working into the whole stitch, but just the back loop. Let's do another back loop single crochet working into the back loop only. Notice how you're leaving those front loops available so you can use them later when working the next row. Continue to do back loop single crochets across the row, and then now it's time to work over that yarn tail from the beginning, I mean the end of the previous row, and we're just grabbing that tail and starting to work over it. Let me show you again how I'm grabbing that yarn and I'm working over it, working into the back loop and also working over that yarn tail, doing the back loop single crochet and repeating that in each and every stitch until the end of the row. We're automatically going to work over those yarn tails at the beginning and the end of the row each and every time, and that way we don't have that many yarn tails to weave in when we finish our project. You can stretch it so the yarn tail is flat. We have 2 stitches left, working a back loop single crochet into this stitch and then a single crochet into the last stitch. And we've finished row 2. This is how it looks, creating that edge with the single crochet stitches. Let's cut the yarn and fasten off. And pull tight. And this is how row 1 and 2 looks. This is just setup rows, and let's start a stitch pattern. Start each and every row with a single crochet in the first stitch. And notice how I'm also going to work over that yarn tail from the previous row now. With that single crochet in the first stitch. And then let's start a stitch pattern with 2 back loop single crochets also working over that yarn tail, just as we did on the previous row. And another back loop single crochet. Now we're doing the first front loop double crochet into the row 2 rows below, and notice how we're finding a front loop with the same colored yarn and working into that front loop, doing a regular double crochet. And this is how it looks. So you're covering that yellow from the previous row. And notice also that you're not working into that stitch behind. We're kind of skipping it because we're working into the front loop of the same color 2 rows below. Continue with 2 back loop single crochets, and we've done our 5 stitch repeat. I'm going to show you again. 2 back loop single crochets, then a front loop double crochet 2 rows below. So find that front loop, and then pull up a loop and finish off that double crochet. And we're doing 2 more back loop single crochet stitches. And that's our 5 stitch repeat for row 3, and we're repeating that across the row. This is how it looks after a few stitches, and you can also see how the back looks. When you're near the end of each and every row, remember to work over that yarn tail, and then do a single crochet into that last stitch. We finished row 3. Let's cut the yarn and fasten off. And now you can see the stitch pattern starting to emerge. Let's start row 4 with that single crochet in the first stitch and work over the yarn tail. If you find working over the yarn tails making it more complex, just skip doing that at the beginning, and then as you get used to it, you can do that as well. Starting the stitch pattern for row 4 with a front loop double crochet in the yellow front loop 2 rows below, and doing the double crochet. Then we're going to do 3 back loop single crochet stitches. Remember to work over the yarn tail. As you may have noticed, all single crochet stitches are worked into the back loop, and then do a front loop double crochet in the loop 2 rows below. Let's repeat that 5 stitch repeat with a front loop double crochet, then 3 back loop single crochet stitches, then finally a front loop double crochet in the front loop 2 rows below. This is how it looks after you've worked the repeat a few times, and then I'm just reminding you to do a single crochet in the last stitch. We've now finished 4 rows, and remember to fasten off, and let's see how it looks. The stitch pattern is truly emerging now, and it's starting to look real nice. But you may notice your yarn tails at the back of the work. Don't worry about them, just cut them down because you've already fastened them off. In that way, the back of your work looks good as well. Let's start row 5 with a single crochet into that first stitch, working over the yarn tail. And let's start a 5 stitch repeat with a back loop single crochet, a front loop double crochet in the 2 rows below, a back loop single crochet again, front loop double crochet 2 rows below. Notice it's the same color of the front loop, and then a back loop single crochet. This is the 5 stitch repeat of row 5, and you can see the stitch pattern emerging really nice now. Let's repeat those 5 stitches again. A back loop single crochet, a front loop double crochet 2 rows below, a back loop single crochet again, a front loop double crochet, and finally a single crochet in the back loop. Finishing off row 5 with that single crochet in the last stitch, and fasten off and cut yarn, and we've now finished this row. Let's start the next row with a single crochet in the first stitch, and then do 2 back loop single crochets and a front loop double crochet in the same colored front loop 2 rows below. Then 2 more back loop double crochets, and then we have our 5 stitch repeat for this row, and do 2 more back loop single crochets, repeating another time, and a front loop double crochet. It's kind of the only one there, so it's easier now to find that front loop, and 2 more back loop single crochet stitches. You've now finished this row, and you can cut the yarn and fasten off, and this is how it looks. Starting to look real good. We're now ready for the next row. Start with a single crochet into that first stitch, and let's start a stitch repeat with a front loop double crochet 2 rows below. Remember to work into the same color front loop. Then we're doing 3 back loop single crochet stitches. Remember to always work over the yarn tail, so you don't have them to weave in later. Then 1 front loop double crochet into the 2 rows below. That's our 5 stitch repeat, and we're going to do that another time. Front loop double crochet, 3 back loop single crochet stitches, and finally a front loop double crochet, and we've finished the 5 stitch repeat. And let's cut the yarn and see how it looks after this row. You can see the pattern really emerging now, and we're ready for the final and 8th row. Start with a slip knot and a single crochet into that first stitch and work over the yarn tail. And let's see the 5 stitch repeat for this row. It's a back loop single crochet, a front loop double crochet, a back loop single crochet, and a front loop double crochet. Those front loop double crochets are always worked 2 rows below and in the same colored yarn. And finally a back loop single crochet, and this is the 5 stitch repeat for row 8. Repeating another time, back loop single crochet, front loop double crochet, back loop single crochet, a front loop double crochet, and finally a back loop single crochet, and that's the 5-stitch repeat. And this is how it looks after you finish 5 rows of this mosaic crochet stitch pattern. Now it's all you have to do is repeat the 6 last rows, so row 3 to 8, to continue the pattern. At the end, just cut those yarn tails at the back of your work and you're finished. And it looks really nice when you cut those off. But the most beautiful part of the stitch pattern is of course on the right side of the work. I really hope you enjoyed learning this crochet stitch with me and that you're going to explore the world of mosaic crochet. All you need is 2 colors of yarn, a crochet hook, and a scissor to fasten off, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this Joy of Motion crochet tutorial and have a nice day.